Yo, what's going on, guys? This is snakebeater and I'm back with a brand new video today, guys. We are going to be going through controversial Apex hot takes. If you enjoy, like, comment, subscribe, or without further ado, man, let's jump straight into this. So I went onto Reddit, X, and Discords, and I was asking for everybody's controversial Apex hot takes, and I got so much feedback. It was actually awesome that I was able to make this into a video where I'm gonna run through the best ones that I found and give my opinion on whether I agree with them, disagree with them, somewhat agree, or somewhat disagree. It's going to be really interesting to see what I think and of course what you guys think. Hopefully I can make this into more of a series and different types of videos, but let's get into this. 20 Apex hot takes, as controversial as they come. Let's get into the first one. First off, we have got Burno OCE, and Burno has come out with the evolution of abilities / the rise of their strength / impactfulness has ruined and taken away from what made Apex Apex. Now, reading this, I had to really think about what Burno was trying to get across, and I honestly feel like he is not wrong. I do somewhat agree, because Apex it's got very ability based. Legends abilities are taking over the game somewhat, and you are going away from what made Apex great at the beginning. Just original movement, the fact it's an FPS, you're getting into big BR fights and you're having these amazing end games. You are just simply enjoying the game for what it is. Now we have a lot of different things, from upgrades. You've got, of course, legends that now have dashes and abilities like that. You've just got some legends with crazy abilities like Alter that can just get people out of fights and allow them to reset. It just feels like there is a lot happening. Now, I somewhat do agree, because I do feel like he's not wrong. At the end of the day, Apex has got maybe a little bit too complicated, and in some ways almost too overwhelming for new players to come into, which means it's a lot harder for players to come into and realize why we all fell in love with Apex. I do feel like, though, it would probably be a little bit difficult to keep Apex as a sighting, maybe, if it still stayed the same. I'm not sure. It's kind of a hard one, because I do somewhat agree. Don't know whether there's a part of me that feels like, well, I do like the upgrade systems and I do like having a dash. Maybe, would I be against all legends having a dash? I'm not really sure, but I don't want abilities to take over. I don't want abilities to be the whole concept of the game. It's a cool, unique way that Apex is good, and you've got back in the day, Pathfinder, Wraith, things like that, where they just had simple abilities, and it's starting to get more and more. Maybe they need to break it down and get it a little bit simpler again and just go back to why people loved Apex. But I'm gonna go with Burno. I'm gonna say I somewhat agree. I'm more leaning towards agree, though, than disagree. Let's get into the second one. Next up, we got Holy Trinity of Drugs. They came in with Sparrow's movement is more busted than Ash. Now, this one, with the recent nerf to Ash's dash again, you're gonna say, actually, do you know what? Sparrow does have a more busted movement. But before the nerf, before they had changed the dash, this did actually get me thinking, and I thought to myself, do you know what? Actually, I actually agree, because Sparrow has not only this amazing jump, but he can jump up on walls, he can move around really well and really accessibly. He is very good movement wise compared to Ash's dash, where she just pings off to the left, pings off to the right, pings forward. I think it's because it's a more aggressive kind of way of attacking with Ash's dash, whereas Sparrow's can actually help you maneuver around a map. I go back to my friend the fact when he was doing my quiz show and how well he played as Sparrow, gaining height, using his ability to clamber off of a wall, jump back up, regain height. Sparrow's movement is more busted than Ash, and I agree with this massively. 100%. I'm with them. Moving into next, we have got the Wizzo, and they have come in with, they should get rid of the effing enemy health bars. It's a bad word. So yeah, no, the enemy health bars. Now, I've got very mixed opinions on them. I feel like at the end of the day, they weren't needed. They weren't needed to be brought into the game, because everyone had got on with this game for so long without them, and then they brought them into the game, and I get it. Maybe once again, this entices to newer players and it helps them understand, people's health and things like that. If you were new to the game, you wouldn't exactly know how much damage somebody has on their health bar. You would maybe not be able to work it out. This does make it a little bit simpler for those players, But you do feel like, actually, well, health bars, they're not needed in Apex, you know? We've never needed them before they were introduced, and now they've been introduced. I don't need them. I don't need them. I didn't mind having to do the maths, but I just feel like for the newer caliber of players, it's more helpful. Potentially, health bars should only be involved in, say, pubs, and that's where they can learn how, you know, how much health an enemy has from what armor they have and things like that. Rather than looking at a health bar, maybe that should only be set for pubs rather than rank, where it is more competitive and you shouldn't be using these health bars to your advantage. For example, if you're in smoke and you shoot somebody and you can see their health bar, you have an idea of where they've moved to. It is used in a different way. You know, a lot of the time you're not just looking at the health bar, you're looking at where they moved to, and it's just giving you so much knowledge. But it also does help if you're a solo queue player and your teammate does damage, you will be able to work out how much damage has been put in. So I somewhat agree, but at the end of the day, I feel like the health bars are not the end of the world, you know? I don't think they're the worst idea. I don't think they're the best idea, but I do somewhat agree with them because I feel like they're better for new players. And, you know, if you are a solo queue player, this does help you understand how much damage your teammate has done without having to communicate with them. So yeah, I somewhat agree. I wouldn't mind if they disappeared, but I somewhat agree. Moving into next, we got Quantum Whale. They have come in with finishing people is a stupid mechanic. Now, guys, finishers have just kind of gone out of the window. Yes, there is some really cool finishers that you can get in the store if you get legendary skins and things like that. You know, there is so many damn cool ones. But at the end of the day, they're just moving away from it at the end of the day. I don't know many people that actually do finishers. There's not many people that will actually go out of the way to do a finisher, because at the end of the day, yes, it does regenerate your shield, but it's easier just to quickly finish them in armor swap. You know, they kind of have moved away from that element. Finishers are not really essential anymore unless you're trying to spam finish someone and get them really annoyed and just trying to aggravate people, making it a very toxic thing rather than something that is kind of cool and maybe it should be more celebrated. So maybe they need to look at changing finishers. Finishers are awesome, but they just aren't simply needed anymore, you know? But like, yeah, no, I do somewhat agree, but I feel like there needs to be a change. You know, I feel like there needs to be a change for them. They should do something different and make finishers more interesting. Make them a reason for me to want to do a finisher again. Make there a reason for it, because, you know, armor swapping is just so easy now. Everyone knows how to do it. You know, I'm not gonna do that just so I can get my evo back to full. It's just simply not needed anymore. Moving into next, we got Fizzy with banner crafting was a mistake and they should remove it from the game. Now, banner crafting is a very interesting one, because when they brought this into the game, you know, it meant people could reset, they could get their players back into the game. Now, I can see why people look at it negatively, because, you know, when you're playing things like rank, people will just run off and they will just think, right, I'm gonna get a banner, don't worry, I'm not gonna fight with you, I cannot be asked. So many people just leave and they do not want to fight. But I'm not gonna lie, guys, banner crafting, I disagree with this statement. I disagree with it, and the reason I disagree with it is because I came from playing PUBG, and before Apex came out, PUBG was such a cool game, but the way PUBG did it, you know, you didn't have respawns, and it was the same with Fortnite. And what would happen is if you died off drop, that was it for the game. You simply had to sit there and watch your teammates play, and you were never able to play again. Do you understand how unsociable that is? I would have games where I would be playing PUBG and they could go on for like half an hour. I die off a drop, my friends don't leave the game, they carry on playing, and I'm just sat there on my phone waiting for them to die. I disagree with this, because I think banners being, you know, crafted is seriously needed. Now, obviously, they've mentioned there, you know, you can still get the banners, but, you know, I feel like crafting them, you know, it's not a bad thing, you know. It's just not fair if your friend cannot get your banner because they're banner camping, that you are then there made to suffer. You know, you are now having to not be able to play the game. You have to just sit there and wait. You know, I think banner crafting is actually healthy for the game. I think it's good that people can get respawned back in when, of course, people are banner camping and they will not let you get those banners. It used to be so infuriating when you're playing ranked and you could just you're waiting till the last minute just to see if you could get your teammate's banner, and a lot of the time people wouldn't leave because it was guaranteed KP. So yeah, no, I disagree. I'm sorry, but banner crafting is needed. Nobody wants to sit there on their phone waiting for their teammates to die. They want to get back in with that small chance of getting back into the game. So yeah, I disagree with this one. Next up, we got Temporal Agent. They completely butchered duos this season, and the removal of the dropship in ranked is the dumbest S they ever done. Now, the duo thing, I completely agree with. You know, they have butchered duos. Duos needs to be changed back. They need to not do what they've done. You know, making less players and small amount, it just simply wasn't needed. Wildcard has just overthrown everything this season. It is so good. Nobody's playing duos as far as I'm aware. I've not actually seen anybody in a duo match this season. I would love to know what the actual player base has been playing this season, because I guarantee it's not duos. Yeah, they've agreed to it. I do agree with that. Now, the removal of dropships in rank, I don't think it's the dumbest thing ever. I was actually very for it, because I actually really enjoy being able to actually loot and then go for a team fight. There was nothing more infuriating than getting dropped and just having to fight people off the drop, especially if you're solo and you have no idea what your teammates are capable of, or if they're going to communicate with you and they just jump hot and they just die instantly. It is so annoying. So the dropship has actually made ranked more competitive. It's spread it out people more across the map, and it does mean that they are actually able to have better team fight, move as a team, communicate better, and again that they just loot up, so it's a fairer fight when you do take a 3v3. So I actually do disagree with this statement of the removal of jump ships. I agree with the butchered of duos, but yeah, that is me. Moving into next, we got the persistence. Octane is in a really bad spot right now. Yeah, Octane is in the worst spot. I agree with this so badly. Honestly, he's in the worst spot he's ever been, and I cannot believe he is still waiting for a rework. I've got to just pray for Octane that next season it is his time, because he is so far behind everybody right now, and anybody that says anything different, you are just delusional right now. Octane is the worst legend in Apex right now. Octane needs a rework. He needs some love. Global committee. If I look at all the posts and comments on different Apex communities telling people they aren't stuck, but they have just reached the rank they belong, it seems to be a hot take. Now, this is a very interesting one, and do you know what? I do agree, because there's so many people that do say, I'm hard stuck this, I'm hard stuck that, I'm hard stuck this. But reality check, it might just be that that's the rank that you deserve to be at, and it's not a bad thing. You know, there is going to be seasons where you do struggle. I'm hands on my heart, will be open and honest. You know, the last couple seasons without running with a full squaddy, I have found that I have been a bit of a diamond player. I'll be completely honest. Like, it's not been my last couple of seasons, and you know what, it's okay, because at the end of the day, if they say like, look, this is now the new competitive sort of ranked system and I am now diamond, I'm going to be all right about that, because I think it's better to accept that you are a certain rank and then seeing if you can just try to improve to try and get out of that rank. So I do agree with the statement. A lot of people are not stuck. They are simply in the rank that they should be. And yeah, and sometimes you just have to understand that that's just the way it is, and it's okay. It's not a problem to be in gold. It's not a problem to finish in platinum. It's not a problem to finish in diamond. And then yeah, if you're in masters, you're pretty happy, so you're all right. Moving into next, we got Potato Army. Here's a hot take. In ranked, they should remove all support items like jump towers, mobile respawns from floor loot, and make it where you can only get a mobile respawn if a support legend crafts or opens a support bin. Now, this is an interesting hot take. I'm not sure if I agree with it. I'm going to somewhat disagree, because I actually don't think it's very common for people to find respawn beacons anyway, especially when you don't have a support legend on your team. There's so many times where I might actually be able to get a banner, and the problem is there is just simply no respawn beacons around. It's not the most common thing in the world to find them, especially not on the floor loot. So I don't actually think this is a big problem. You know, it's not like you're going to look around every single loot bin that you find and you're going to find them. The removal of jump towers also I don't agree with at all, because I think they're actually a pretty decent thing to use, and of course a lot of people do get shot of them very easily, so I don't see an issue with this. I think I disagree with both of these hot takes. Not for me. Astronics. Loba is a complete troll pick in ranked this season, and the only players on it are complete noobs. I disagree with this straight away. I mean, I don't know why you think Loba is a troll pick. I think she's actually a very good solo pick if you are playing solo and you are, you know, getting in those ranked lobbies where you are starting to struggle and you need someone with escapes, but also a support legend. She is very, very good for that, and she is a very viable pick. Yes, she's not the most beneficial legend late game, but she is very good for, say, escapes, and of course, being a support legend when there is those times when maybe you do need to craft your teammates banners and you are needing a support legend to get that mobile res. So for me, this one is just an aggravated comment. You know, I don't think they really, this isn't a hot take in my opinion, but I disagree with you. But hey, if you want to hate on Loba, hate on Loba. One man's quest. Everyone in Apex should have a Sparrow or Ash movement, and wall running should be a thing in the main game. This was a very interesting take, and one of my friends, Melamarco, said on my latest video, he said, I believe that they should make the Ash dash on every legend, like Halo 5. We used to play Halo 5 loads, and they used to have a dash in there all the time. And I'm not against the idea of it. If they are going to start introducing these sort of things to certain legends, all legends need to have them, because at the end of the day, you shouldn't have just 2 legends that have a dash. You know, how's that fair when you've got big boys like Gibby and Caustic that have to slowly rotate around a map, and they've got a ginormous hitboxes and they have no dashes, whereas you've got someone like Ash who's super aggressive and has a dash. You've got Sparrow, who's a very small, fragile sort of legend and has abilities to clamber and jump and rotate with height, and it's just simply pretty unfair, and no reason of alone. Obviously right now I'm pretty sure the 2 top pick legends are Ash and Sparrow, and you can't help but be like, well, that's kind of why. So maybe they need to think either they need to introduce it for all legends or they need to remove it. So I do somewhat agree, but I also would not be against them removing it. Scam artist, we've got pinging dibs is nothing more than a way to keep the item visible. Whoever gets to it first has actual claim to it. This is an interesting hot take, because I'm sure everybody has had this happen once or twice before in a game where they have gone to go and get some loot, and next thing you know, boom, someone's robbed it from them, and you're there like, whoa bro, I called dibs, what the heck? And it does happen a lot, and I feel like you should obey the dibs rule, because I do feel like the dibs rule is one of those ones where if you don't obey the dibs rule, then what else are we gonna disobey in that game? You know, are we going to disobey rotations? Are we going to disobey this? And it's just simply kind of just puts a sour taste on the team already. Bit different if you're playing with friends and you want to troll each other, but I think as a solo queue player, you should not be taking what your teammates dibs. Kind of be quick to it. If you're playing with friends, say it out loud, I call dibs on that, give me that, I want that. But yeah, no, I disagree with this one. I don't think it's very fair to start robbing stuff. I think the dibs system's there for a reason and people should use it. Ishi's fishy the best. Recon legends should be the only legend with scan abilities. Spitfire is the most OP gun, and footstep audio should exist. Okay, well, straight in there. The first one, I do agree. You know, I don't think there's a problem with the recon legends should be the only legends with scan abilities. I'm not against it. I do feel like, yeah, this could be a very good hot take that could be easily implemented into the game. It's up to them if they want to. It's kind of one of those ones, but yeah, I do see where they're coming from, and I do agree. The Spitfire, I don't think it's the most OP gun. I do somewhat disagree. I know it is a stronger gun, but I don't think it's the most OP gun. I mean, there's a lot stronger guns out there, like the PK, that is actually dominating this season. So I do somewhat disagree on that one. And footstep audio should exist. I mean, yeah, I agree on that one. You know, yeah, it's been too many times this season where I've been crept up on. I'm pretty sure I should have heard something. Next up, we've got Ash. The rank scene in Apex right now has next to nothing to do with individual skill, and it's not even an effective proving ground for competitive play. Unless you fall into the top 1% of skill in either direction, endless time is all you need to rank. Now, this is not a bad point. I somewhat agree, because I do feel like ranked should be more of a proving ground for the competitive play. You know, at the end of the day, you do want to be having more of a competitive feel, for it to be a actual movement toward that sort of ALGS feel, you know, whether people are going into challenger circuits. I do feel like they are trying to move into that direction. It hasn't got there yet. You know, you've still got very all sendy games. You know, I've played in quite a few pred lobbies this season, and every single time it's just a pred squad just running the lobby. They are not scared to push, and they're not thinking simply about the end game. They're thinking about how quickly they can wipe the lobby, and that's a shame. You know, maybe we do still need to go back to the season 13 rank system where it was seriously punishable if you did get killed, and that obviously is something that everyone's kind of cried for, you know. But I do agree also on the endless time get the rank. At the end of the day, a lot of the time it is who can play the game the most, and it's a shame. You know, there is a lot of people out there that do have natural skill, and the thing is they can get it, but if you don't have much time to play, you're not going to be able to hold pred, and it's just simple facts. It's just the way it is. But I somewhat agree with this, but I think they are trying to move in the direction of maybe more competitive. It has been one of the more competitive seasons we've had, but it's still not there yet. We got Summonus Rex. Vantage is the best recon legend with offensive information and movement abilities in her set. Now, she's a very good legend, and I don't know, I somewhat agree. Because I think Vantage is a seriously good legend. She is actually seriously underrated. She is very strong. Her movement is awesome. She has a sniper which actually deals so much damage. They sorted out a hitbox. So yeah, no, I mean, I'm not 100% sure if I'll put her as a top recon legend, but I mean, she is pretty damn good. I mean, yeah, she she's up there. She's definitely top 3 at least. But yeah, she's seriously underrated, guys. If you haven't been using her, then you need to get on board because, yeah, Vantage is sick. Really good. It's a shame that she hasn't got maybe more team abilities, but yeah, that sniper's filthy. Yeah, we got Fabiano, which is a Sparrow main. Oversaturation of abilities in Apex has made the game unfair and will eventually kill the game. Ash, Alter, and Ballistic are prime examples. We've also got milestone events need to be scrapped, and their last one is there needs to be more than one legend reworked a season to equate for the lack of legend releases. Now, first point there is spot on. It's once again, it's very similar to what Berno said at the beginning of the video. You know, there is too many abilities going on. There's too much going on at the end of the day. Like, it feels like there is just something more complicated the next season. And I do think at the end of the day, this does make things too complicated. And that's why I say it, for a new player, it's going to be overwhelming. You know, it's going to be like you say, you're going to get people get fed up, which is like the core player base, which is like, say, myself that plays the game all the time, played it since launch. I've always been playing the game. And then you're going to have someone that new comes to the game and they just simply gonna not bother because it's too much, and then the core players are gonna be like, actually this is too much going on here as well, and they're gonna start leaving the game. You need to kind of simplify it a little bit more. Maybe they need to go back to the roots a little bit. Look at Fortnite and they did a no build mode. Maybe we need a Apex version of no abilities mode where it's simply just movement and shooting. That would kind of be a cool idea. Next up, milestone events need to be scrapped. I mean, somewhat agree. I can kind of see, you know, the appeal to them. People get excited by like events and things like that, but a lot of the time it all goes down to more money, doesn't it? And the last one, there needs to be more than one legend rework to equate for the lack of legend releases. I mean, once again, you would say, I somewhat agree. Now, that I understand that devs have a lot on their plate, and I do feel like sometimes, actually, you know what, it wouldn't be possible, this sort of thing. But, you know, if we are getting lack of legends, I would like to see maybe a few legends get a different rework. Like, say, Octane, I've been dying for that one for a long time. I don't know how long these things take, though. So I have to somewhat agree, just purely on the basis of, let's be realistic here. We need, you know, we got to give them some leeway here. That's all, man. Apex Tracker, which is a very interesting one here. So Apex Tracker had come out with people spend far too much time worrying about how their banner looks. And the other take is players stick around even when the game is lacking content because their investment in skins, cosmetics, trackers, not because they're enjoying the game at the moment. Right, straight off the bat, I agree with the first one. I'm sorry, banner lovers. I'm sorry, but I have never seen the hype about people going, check out my new banner, check out my banner, check out how cool my banner looks. Look, if you enjoy it, that's sick, man. But at the end of the day, I literally couldn't give a toss about banners. If I die and I see your banner, your badges, a lot of the time, all I'm looking at is just to see how many kills you got. Like, I'm not really fussed about what it looks like. I'm not saying how cool it looks. I think people maybe put a little bit too much time into it. And I'm sorry as well, the people that do the edits on TikTok to show their new banners, it's just not hitting. It's not hitting. And then as well, the second point, I agree. There's a lot of people that stick around because they know they've invested so much money in the game. The amount of people that have bought heirlooms and things like that, and they've spent so much money on the game, and they just keep coming back because they know for a fact, I've spent about $1,000 on this game and I can't leave it now. It's hard one. It's a hard one. I understand it. It's hard to, like, you know, invest all that money and then you can't feel like you can't quit it. But you look at other games like FIFA, and people put enormous amount of money every single year into their account just for there to be a new game, and then they've lost that money. You know, just enjoy it for the moment, and you know, if you spent money on it, that's fine. And you know, if you stop playing the game, that's also fine. I agree with both of these points. They're freaking banging controversial hot takes. Faded Ash and Sparrow movements passives have ruined Apex. Like I mentioned earlier, I did say I think either you need to introduce these to all legends or you need to take them away. But I do agree with this. I do feel like at the end of the day, the reason that they are the two top picks right now is because of those dashes, the movement. Take them away or introduce it to everyone. Next up, we've got green, which is casual content creators like Timmy are more impactful than pros. Oh, juicy. Okay, so I somewhat agree. Right, so the main reason I somewhat agree is because, yes, they've got a massive audience. Timmy, one of the biggest Apex content creators out there, if not the biggest. And he has got such a big platform. He can say and, you know, be impactful. And if he stops playing the game, that also entices people to stop playing the game. You know, it just means he is a very big person you want in your circle right now. You do not want him going off to another game. He is one of the people that say will help hype up the game, will help you improve the game, and will, at the end of the day, be amazing when a new season comes out. You want him to be involved. If you've got the pro players, I love the pro players. I think they're amazing. I think, you know, at the end of the day, the ALGS is so good for the game. But unfortunately, the difference is ALGS, where all the pro players are, none of us get that. You know, I don't play tournaments. I love watching it, but, you know, that's not going to make a difference to me as a casual player. You know, at the end of the day, I just enjoy watching competitive. Now, as someone who is newer to the game, watches competitive, they might not have a blind bit of clue what's going on. But if they were to watch somebody like Timmy, they might get more hooked on it. They see him doing crazy shots. They see him doing crazy movement on challenges, and he will get them more interested in the game. He has a bigger impact on the content creation side of things to make people more interested, you know, and I stand by that with a lot of the content creators that we have in the YouTube space. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that make some awesome content, and they are the reason why a lot of people still play the game, which is what I do think they are starting to feed back more into. You now got the Apex Creator Hub, where they are trying to support more of the content creators because they know the content that is being made by these YouTubers, by these Twitch streamers, is helping keep their game popular. The ALGS, on the other hand, this is the only reason why I somewhat agree. ALGS, on the other hand, though, does pull so much viewership when it comes up, and that is because it's so good to watch. It's a great thing, and they need to keep pushing that as well. But I just feel like, you know, more people can get into watching a content creator than they can competitive. And that's my kind of point. So I somewhat agree with this. And last but not least, we have Onsi. We have got Apex. Core movement is what made Apex feel good. Not all the movement ability slop we have now. The text made the game what it is. And I mean, I do agree. You're not wrong. Because the thing is, you know, you go back to how good the movement was on Apex when it first came out. It was incredible. And you look at other games that have now taken the core mechanics from Apex and put it into their game. Apex brought it all, you know, from, you know, you're sliding, you're jumping, and then of course we ended up getting people that could do crazy stuff. They're super gliding, they're wall bouncing. Those sort of mechanics are just sick. And you know what? It kind of brings me back to the days of when I used to play Halo 3 when I was a kid, and people would spend hours on hours on hours just learning cool jumps and things like that just to get better at the core mechanics of the game. And it was such an enjoyable experience. And now you've just got legends that can just do it by the press of a button. It's kind of taken away a skill element from the game, and it has made it very easy for certain players. And it's a shame because I do feel like there's a lot of people that put a lot of hours into learning these cool unique moves just for them to go and bring out a dash on Ash. So now, like, for example, if I super glide and you do a dash, we probably reach about the same distance. I do feel like the core movement in Apex is what made Apex great, and maybe they need to look back at it and bring it back in. But yeah, I agree. So yeah, guys, that is 20 of my Apex controversial hot takes. That is 20 of them. I say mine, they're yours, and I really hope you guys have enjoyed this. Bit of a longer form video, but it's been really fun to sit here and talk to you guys, man. I mean, I've really enjoyed this. But yeah, if you guys want to see more controversial Apex hot takes, maybe I'll go and get YouTubers versions, maybe I'll go and get randoms and pub lobbies versions. Let me know what you think. But if you have enjoyed, please like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna shut the hell up. Comment your ones below, comment your hot takes, because I might even make them into a video. I'll see you all in the next video.